Okay, friends, I just wanted to record real quick a comment about today's discussion, which was started actually one day ago, yesterday, uh, in Reddit, in a subreddit for BAND-MAID. It was started by this guy, Exploris, whoever he is, Um and the idea, which I actually encourage you to read it, the heading which he chosen for his post is actually misleading. He says Conqueror too soft, too flat, too soft, too flat. Of course, like half of the people who were reading the post, they absolutely misunderstood what he wanted to say. So they interpreted it in the usual way, like, BAND-MAID is going pop and that sort of stuff. I don't like the mix, Tony Visconti was bad, or that sort of interpretation. But actually, what he meant was entirely different thing, and that is the most important thing. And actually, like today was, I don't know, my worst day as a BAND-MAID fan, to be honest. So yeah, I'm a fan already for like year and a half, and that's really like BAND-MAID has changed my life. Yeah. Well, I should say that I always had a problem with BAND-MAID sound. They don't sound well enough. By sound, I mean quality of sound. Like it was always a little bit like distorted, muffled, or whatever term you may use. And that's what Exploris is talking about. So he basically raises this very familiar question of dynamic compression, which is the rumblings of so-called loudness war, which is also a very, very well-known phenomenon in musical industry. As I said, many people in this subreddit, they have misunderstood it. There are few possible misinterpretations to this problem. One misinterpretation is that what he says, so why dynamic compression? And he says dynamic compression has nothing to do with file compression. So people think about, like lossless, and Mr. Doc Loco, who's Philippe Dupont, he actually he raised this question, like, I forget to ask a very important question: which version did you listen to, streaming, Spotify, or Wave, FLAC, Autoto, etc.? And he actually states that FLAC from Autoto sounds much better. To be honest, I have not seen a lot of difference. Okay, I'll explain you why. First things first. Okay, let's just see with our own eyes. So I bring to the front of the screen a wonderful program which is called Adobe Audition. I dropped here Rinne, the last track in new album Rinne, which we love so much. So what do you see here? You see here absolutely solid piece of piece of music. It's a waveform, yes, so-called waveform. So that's the whole song from start to finish. If you zoom in a little bit, you see that actually there are some, it's not so solid, to be honest, yeah. So there is some headroom, but what do you see? You see that when the music gets loud, it just overspills over there, over the edge, and gets clipped. That's the effect specific for digital recordings, because when it is analog recording, uh, you don't get this effect. If the music gets too loud, it just gets distorted. So it gets like the form of the peak changes, the shape of the peak. But in digital version, it just gets cut on the top. So when it gets loud, 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 then suddenly you get this flat top, you know, and that's it. So that's what's happening. I'll explain in greater detail. So for now, you may just see that that's how Rina looks. When you look at it in the musical editor, that's what you see. I'll just put it on play and then explain what happens so that you can see it. So that's what you see, yeah? I hope you can hear me. That's what you see. Okay, I put it on pause. That's what you see. So you see that the loudness immediately goes into the red zone. So initially, Rina starts quiet, yeah? It starts quiet. And then, immediately when the music starts, green, 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 red. That's red. That's it. Okay, of course, Rin is a very heavy metal song, but that should not be like this, because you basically instead of like having this music happening here, nothing is happening here, so it just overspills. Instead of getting, that is what called dynamic range, yeah, like first you can see me, right? You can see me because there is light and there is darkness, yeah. There are darker parts of me, like black t-shirt, white face, like light hair and stuff like that. If there would be too much light, you would not see me. You would just be blinded by light, yeah? I'll try to, if I can show it to you. Like, I take a lamp, for instance, and just... Okay, I have it tight here, okay. But you can see, okay, if I do it like this, you see, there's too much light. Too much light. You can't see me anymore. That's what's happening. The same with loudness. The music must not be too loud in the recording. If you want to make it loud, just turn the knob on your amplifier, right? And it will be louder. It will be playing louder. So why these guys make this dynamic compression? So what's happening? You may actually read the thread, you may read this article, but there's already like how many comments? Like 140 comments, so it's difficult to read it. So okay, I suggest that you read some articles about it to get the correct understanding. One of the best articles, actually, from October 2009, so 10 years ago. This guy, who is called Tri Provan, he wrote an article. he said, I'm a big Rush fan. Uh, I don't know actually that I know Rush, but of course I heard a lot about it. Yeah, like 50 million other drummers. Okay. I what I read about Rush is that they probably like a prog rock or something band, yeah. And prog rock bands they usually cared a lot about the quality of sound. I know it from the example of like Pink Floyd, of King Crimson. All these bands they were really they set the standard of the quality music starting from the late 60s. So I guess Rush is one of those. And this article is just uh, like heart-rending. So this guy basically speaks. He said, I love Rush very much, but the last CD, the newest CD, Vapor Trails, he says, sounds like dog shit. He's a fan of Rush, yes. So in the same way as BAND-MAID fans, we are BAND-MAID fans. BAND-MAID is our life. Conqueror, well, uh, I would not probably say that sounds like dog shit. Uh, the example which I know of is Metallica's Death Magnetic album, which was released actually about this time. So it was released in 2008. And then there was a huge outcry when people were like, I remember I had a huge problem with it. I was trying to listen to it, and I listened to it maybe like a couple of weeks or something. But it was really sounding awful, really strange. And I was not informed about this loudness war at the time. I had no clue about this thing. And then uh, I opened up my favorite computer magazine. It was called Computera. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was really a great computer magazine in Russian. And there is an article about Metallica's album. I was like, what? An IT magazine, and I read about Metallica. Yeah, so one of the journalists, one of the columnists in this journal, was actually also a Metallica fan, and he was just you know so much outraged with the quality of the sound in Death Magnetic. So he wrote a column basically about it. And there he explained everything. And he referred to this article. I think he referred to this article, actually, although they say it was published a bit later. Whatever, but I think, or some other article, but very similar one. So I actually encourage you to read this article. It's very easy reading. Actually, it's very like this guy is a nice guy. So why is the louder is better approach the wrong approach? So that's the analogy which he uses to explain the problem. So when you write in all caps, in all capital letters, that uh, is perceived by reader as if the writer is shouting, like shouting at your face. Okay, you may shout once or twice to emphasize some words of yours, but if you keep shouting, that becomes really difficult to perceive. And if a person is constantly shouting at you, what do? You just walk away, right? You don't want this person to spit, into your face and just. We don't like a lot of noise, right? Just our brain does not digest it well. Yeah, if you type in all capital letters, there are no cues to help the brain make sense of the signal, and the mind tires quickly of trying to process what is basically white noise. Likewise, a signal that just pegs the meters, so that's what's happening in in Conqueror, yeah? So you see, it's all in red. The loudness is all in red. Loudness is all in red, loudness is all in red, and that is not good. Causes the brain to react as though it is being fed white noise. We simply filter it out and quit trying to process it. That's what happens when you listen to this distorted, clipped, overcompressed, dynamically overcompressed sound. It's just noise. You want to turn it off. Of course, I will still listen to Conqueror. It's just too great music for me to stop listening to it. But it will be difficult for me. I know it already because I was like subconsciously perceiving this fact that something is wrong, you know, something is wrong with this sound. I get tired quickly, like I get dizzy, you know. I listen to it and after like, I don't know, like a couple of hours, I take my headphones off and I feel like, you know, I've been in like what it's called, like an industrial plant in a factory, you know, where there's a lot of mechanical things just beating each other. The noise is ringing through your ears, you know, and stuff like that. Of course, you get tired from it. That's why people wear the protective headphones in the noisy environment, like warehouse or like some mechanical plant or whatever. Okay, how it looks like. There is another important part which I want to explain to you. That's how it looks like. So when the music is okay, again, here's how Rina looks like. That's how Rina looks like. You see? It's just a solid piece of whatever, loudness. And the guy gives an example of Rush albums over the years. So early albums were looking like this. So they had a certain headroom, as he says. So you had some room above your head to stand, you know. But then, okay, it was getting louder here, but still okay. And then the last CD, Vapor Trails, was like this. Actually, you see that Rina is looking even worse. So that's what's happening. If you see something like this, and how do you perceive it? Perception is like, imagine that like you cover your nose like this, your mouth like this, and then shout like, you know. So it's muffled, but you shout. And that's what's happening to Psyche's voice, for instance, and Miku's voice. Actually, a thing which I remembered, which I think was a good example of it, I'll try to show you. So I close this file and drop here the song which I was reviewing and which was Flying High. So I drop here Flying High. Okay, I drop here Flying High. That's how Flying High looks like. So yeah, it has a couple of quiet moments. Yeah, that's actually the structure of almost any BAND-MAID song. So they have some like a break here, some here. Yeah, so like verse, chorus, verse, chorus, break, verse, chorus. That's how Konami composes the songs. The thing which I wanted to show you is the thing, very interesting trick actually, which Miku did. Okay, I'll bring again the Reddit here. That's there was a very nice translation of interview. By the way, Conqueror is like #1 in charts, in some charts. I just looked at the Russian Google Play and it was number 10 yesterday. So I decided to buy it as well. It was very cheap actually, like $1.50, something like this. Where was it? Where was it? Oh, there's a lot of stuff here I even didn't read at all. Okay. No, Miko solo song on the album. Where was this interview? There was this very nice interview. Oh, by the way, what is written there? If you noticed, world, domination, you and I to the wonderland. Burnt out. Okay, whatever. Okay. Wait for the good life versions. Okay, whatever. Translation of Geeks magazine. I really recommend you to read this interview. It's really great. The thing which I wanted to pay attention to is where they share all the tricks they played an album. Like Kanami says, I wanted to put some Santana overtones and nobody noticed. And then Saik is like, next time you want to go Santana, just tell us. Okay, refreshing. Okay. Yes, Saik is like, nobody but a guitarist would notice something. Please tell us beforehand when you want to go Santana next time. Also, you aren't doing the story about a cat's hairball, Miku. Cat's hairball. I was really surprised, and Akane didn't know. Akane like, what? What the hell is that? It's like Miku's new trick. The screams such as in flying high. Miku. In the demo, it was a man's shout, but Saiki said, please do that part, Miku. At that time, I was advised by the vocal director. Nice guy or girl. Image is like a cat throws up a hairball, like So I tried a few times and was able to learn how to do it. From then on, I have been told in other songs, do the cat's hairball thing here. And then Misa saying, are you going to do the cat's hairball in lives too? Miko, of course I will paw. I will paw. I've received advice like that quite a few times. When we were recording Play from World Domination, I was told to do it with a hard rock feeling like whatever. I don't know even these guys. Okay. But back to our subject. Back to our subject of dynamic overcompression. Remember I was commenting on this in the previous video about the wonderful shout, which I thought it's psyche. I thought it's like a conversation. But now when I listen to this again, I just discovered that it's Miku says like, shall we? And then she'll so So like this. So that's her cat's hairball. Okay, let me try to find it. It will take some time to find it.
Shall we?
I love it. I love this piece. But that's where you hear the sorry compression. Miku's voice sounds really distorted. Like, yeah, like I would shout to the microphone, you know, like very close, and the sensitivity would be too high. So when I was a child, like teenager, like 10, 11 years old, I don't remember exactly, I was reading a book about some sound recording. And there was a clear instruction. When you're recording the sound, make it so that the indicator, the meter, is in green and overshoots into the yellow a little bit. And rarely, like really 1, 2, 3 times over your recording reaches into the red area. And make sure it never stays in the red all the time, because it will be distorted. Of course, that book was written at the time of analog recordings, and analog recorders, they do this distortion differently, in a nice way, let's say, but nevertheless still distortion, that it doesn't sound nice. But look what they do here. It just stays in the red all the time. So Miku's voice, Miku's wonderful cat's hairball screaming, goes into really unpleasant, what's the word for it? Timbre, yeah, the feeling, the frequencies, like the feeling of the sound. Yeah. Okay. Once again. Like this. Okay, that was probably the brightest example, you know, of the damage. Okay, who did it? Who is the culprit? Who is the culprit? We have an answer to this, and I will tell you who is to blame. So Rick Rowan actually discusses it, and he says who's guilty of that. So he actually shows nice pictures what's happening. So you see that when it gets loud, that's what's happening. It just cuts at the top, you know, instead of having this nice shape like this, yeah, it just gets cut, you know, it gets flat, and this flatness is perceived as like very unpleasant sound, like really a noise, you know, like I really feel like when I'm listening to Conqueror, here's the Conqueror, here is me, and there's a wall of some ugly sound in between us. That's my beloved band, and that's me. And I cannot get through, you know, because there is this sound. Noise. Okay, the guy says solutions. So what are the solutions? The solution actually is very simple. Somebody has to go to the record exec and say, man, just tell the operator to turn the knob a little bit down, just a little bit down, so that it it's not over the red edge all the time. Just just do it. Just make it a little bit quieter. And then he suggests some technical things, tricks. If you really want to do this compression, then do it on the other side, not on the side of production. Don't do it on the CD. Just put some whatever methods at the other end, if you really want to make it loud. Yeah. So what do we do about it? Complain. Just complain. Just go to Nippon Crown Twitter and write them in all caps. Guys, stop the loudness war. Stop the loudness war. This problem is very well known in the industry. I just typed in Google loudness war, and the first link I get what? Spotify. What does Spotify say? Spotify says, mind you, 2012, some guy suggested an idea. The loudness war is killing music. He gives an examples. 83, 91, 99. It's killing it, he says. What he suggests? He suggests that the paid members of Spotify just get the better remixes. So those who listen for free may get the crap, and those who pay for it should get the quality mixes. Interesting idea. I don't know what happened to it, but you may actually read about it. I put all the links in the description. You will read it for yourself. Okay. He gives a link here, which I followed. Loudness War info. That's the link. That's the guy. Dynamic Range DB. It is called Dynamic Range Database. Album list. I actually searched for BAND-MAID. Most of the BAND-MAID albums are uploaded into this database, so people already checked them for compression. I uploaded the album which I liked the most in terms of sound, which is Shinkiba Studio Coast Live. It's November 24th, 2017, so exactly 2 years ago. They recorded their concert in Shinkiba Studio Coast. Okay, I click on BAND-MAID name and you'll see album list. So you see that's my upload, the Conqueror, somebody uploaded Conqueror already. World Domination, Start Over, Brand New Made, World Domination, I think like different version or something. Whatever, World Domination download, World Domination CD, okay, whatever. Conqueror. Okay, you can see. What's the legend, the description of levels. So you see that Conqueror is dynamic range 4, average, minimum, maximum, it's just 4, 4, 5. So the greener, the better. Shinkiba, which is like great, really great sound. So you see that dynamic range is 8, and the worst is like 6, and the best is like 11. And Shinkiba Studio Coast really sounds nice. What I uploaded here actually is my rip. I ripped the audio from Blu-ray and encoded it as FLAC files. If you want, I can share these FLAC files with you. I listen to them on my player. Just when I do something on computer, I put my headphones on and listen to Shinkiba Studio Coast, just like an album. So it's not bad. Like 8 is somewhere at the edge. Could be better, but still like okay. But Conqueror is like the worst. Actually, there was a guy, topic starter, I think, of topic starter of okay, translation of Geeks magazine. I really encourage you to read this interview. It's really great. And the topic starter for soft flat favorite song. Too soft, too flat. Okay. He did some research and he put some research Shannon sampling theorem. There's a lot of information here. Where is it? This one. Okay, I did some research myself, but that was of course like not very good one. Okay, just bring it. World domination, Conqueror, and then he says also this one. So okay, this guy put these old tracks of the album into Audacity. It's another sound editor which actually gives a nice analysis. So you can see that it's that is just bring it, yeah? Don't you tell me. Starts with don't you tell me. So you see that it's, yeah, already up there, but still okay, more or less. Then we have world domination. A lot of red stuff. So red things is clipping. And Conqueror. The guy who did it, the guy who just did it to poor girls should commit seppuku. And then it's from the early one, it's don't you tell me. So yeah, you see that it's not that bad. And he actually says that compression as well. If you zoom in, does it have that clip and then pull back? Zoom in. Yeah, this is it's from their first album. You see, it's absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. That's, yeah, pretty much the same thing which happened to Rush albums here in this example. So when you see that the early ones are okay and the later ones just sound like dog shit. That's what's happening, guys. So I encourage you all, really go to all the social networks and just complain to the management. The problem is not with the girls. The problem is with the management. Some record exec just goes at the very last stage of production. He goes to the operator of the CD press or whatever and says, "Make it loud. Otherwise, you out." And of course, the guy has to turn that knob to 12. Okay, enough of the rant. It's already too late. Tomorrow I go to business trip to Netherlands. So if anybody wants to join me and Yoki in Delft, you're welcome. See you in the next video.